aliens mockingly asked him to play the Xenotone. What he played left everyone in tears. He wasn't supposed to be there. The only human in a hall of aliens, standing in chains beneath the cold gaze of their queen. They called it the Xenotone, an ancient alien instrument shaped from crystal and metal, strung with threads that shimmered like liquid light. They said only their kind could play it. That its voice was not meant for human hands. He was a prisoner, dragged from the wreckage of his ship, mocked for his weakness. And when they shoved the instrument before him, laughter rippled through the chamber. "Play, human," one sneered. "Show us how clumsy your kind truly is." Another jeered. "Yes. Let us see his fingers stumble. Perhaps the Xenotone will break itself rather than suffer his touch." The queen herself leaned forward, a cruel smile on her lips. "If you can play even a single note without shattering the strings, perhaps we will let you live." He swallowed hard, staring at the instrument glowing faintly in the torchlight. The Xenotone pulsed, alive, humming faint vibrations that prickled against his skin. He had never seen one before, but music was in his blood. Back on Earth, he had played the violin, the piano, anything with strings and keys. Music was the only thing that had ever made sense to him. They thought this was a mockery. They thought they were humiliating him. But he knew music didn't care about species. Music belonged to anyone brave enough to play it. He lifted the Xenotone carefully. Its weight surprised him, light, almost ethereal, as though it floated in his hands. His fingers hovered over the shimmering threads. Silence fell. Every alien eye fixed on him. Then, he played. The first note rang out, soft but pure, like a drop of water falling into stillness. The room shifted. Mocking smiles faltered. He closed his eyes, letting instinct guide him. The Xenotone responded, not resisting, but embracing, its alien strings bending beneath his touch as if they had been waiting for him. He played the melody of his life. The loneliness of space. The ache of exile. The longing for home. The notes poured out like tears, rising and falling, carrying sorrow so heavy it bent even alien hearts. The hall grew still. No one laughed. No one jeered. The queen's smile faded into awe. For in those notes, they heard not weakness, but truth. He played of loss, the crew he would never see again, the world he might never return to. He played of love left behind, of dreams shattered, of the fragile, beautiful pain of being human. And something remarkable happened. The Xenotone sang with him. Its glowing threads pulsed brighter, resonating not just with his fingers, but with his soul. The crystal body vibrated, filling the air with harmonies so deep they rattled the bones of those listening. Aliens who had come to mock now lowered their heads. Warriors wiped at their eyes. Even the queen's chest heaved as though she were holding back sobs. He finished with a final, trembling note that seemed to hang in the air long after his fingers left the strings. Silence. The kind of silence that is sacred. And then, the sound of weeping. Not his. Theirs. The proud, cold-hearted aliens who had mocked him were crying. The melody had pierced through barriers of species and culture, striking at the one thing they all shared, the ache of loss, the memory of love, the fragile beauty of existence. The queen stood slowly, her face wet with tears she did not bother to hide. She descended from her throne, her steps echoing in the chamber. When she reached him, she laid a trembling hand on the Xenotone. "No one," she whispered, her voice breaking, "has ever played it like that. Not in 1,000 years." He bowed his head, unsure if he had just sealed his fate or earned his freedom. But then she spoke again, words that changed everything. "Release him." The guards hesitated, stunned. "I said release him," the queen shouted, her voice trembling with power. "He is no prisoner. He is a keeper of the Xenotone." The chains fell away. His wrists were free. He clutched the instrument close, not as a weapon, not as a shield, but as a bridge. From that night onward, he was no longer the human captive. He was the one who had made them weep. The one who had reminded them of the universality of grief and hope. The aliens who had mocked him now bowed when he entered. The queen herself invited him to her side, asking him to play again, not for mockery, but for healing. And when he played, the halls were never filled with laughter again. They were filled with silence. With tears. with something that transcended species. For in the end, music belonged not to humans, not to aliens, but to all who had hearts that could break and heal. And he, the mocked prisoner, had taught them that truth.